You might think you're calling the shots, but the truth is, she's already 2 steps ahead. Every word she says, every glance she throws your way, every sudden mood swing, it's not random. It's all calculated. If you don't wake up and see the game for what it is, you'll end up sacrificing your self-respect, your peace, and maybe even your sanity, just to keep someone who knows exactly how to pull your strings. This isn't about blaming women or sowing distrust. It's about recognizing the subtle ways some play with your emotions, and more importantly, how you can outsmart those tactics before it's too late. Today we're breaking down how manipulation works, the signs to watch for, and how stoic wisdom can help you stay grounded, clear-headed, and in control of your own life. 1. The psychology behind female manipulation. Manipulation isn't always malicious. Sometimes it's a survival skill honed from childhood, from watching how emotions sway outcomes, or learning that subtle tactics get results faster than direct requests. But make no mistake, women know when they have leverage. At the core, female manipulation thrives on psychological blind spots. Your craving for approval, your discomfort with confrontation, and your belief that if you just try hard enough, love will always be returned. If you're constantly bending, over-explaining, or walking on eggshells, you're living in her reality. And here's the real kicker: she didn't necessarily set out to manipulate you. More often, it's you who created the conditions by tolerating what should never be tolerated, by excusing red flags for the sake of harmony, and by rewarding her worst behavior with your best efforts. This dynamic doesn't make you weak or foolish, it makes you human. You might crave her validation because of your upbringing. Maybe you learned early that peace equals safety, that love is something you earn by being agreeable and tolerant. But manipulation always requires a partner, the one who manipulates and the one who allows it. If you want to break free, you need to see the game as it is, not as you wish it to be. Understanding this dynamic is the first and most crucial step. Recognize that women are acutely aware of the power they hold in relationships, social, emotional, and even physical. They'll test your boundaries, see how you respond to their moods, and notice every time you cave under pressure. That's not by accident, it's by design. Once you see this, you stop playing the role of the victim and start writing your own script. 2. Common manipulation tactics. Women use? Let's get real about the tactics themselves, because once you can name them, you can neutralize them. One of the most common is guilt tripping. She takes a small issue and flips it, making you feel responsible for her every mood swing. You find yourself apologizing for things you never did, or even things that aren't your responsibility. The second tactic is the silent treatment. She withdraws affection and communication, training you to chase her validation. You become so addicted to her approval that you'll do anything to avoid her coldness. Next is emotional outbursts, sudden tears, dramatic anger, or unexpected silence, designed not just to express emotion, but to throw you off balance and make you second-guess your instincts. Then there's public disrespect, playful jabs that sting, flirting with other men in front of you, or making jokes at your expense, all to see how much you'll tolerate and how invested you are. Finally, there's playing the victim. She's always the one misunderstood, hurt, or let down, and you become her emotional caretaker even when her behavior is the problem. None of these tactics work on men with strong boundaries and a solid sense of self. They only work on those afraid of conflict, desperate for approval, or addicted to keeping the peace. If you find yourself giving in, recognize it's not because you're powerless. It's because you've been programmed to believe that avoiding conflict is the same as preserving love. It's not. Every time you reward manipulation, you invite more of it. The key is awareness. When you see the tactic, you can call it out, diffuse it, and stop playing along. 3. Why she chooses. Certain men to manipulate manipulation isn't random. Women, consciously or not, gravitate toward men who send out clear signals that they're open to being controlled. The first is the beauty worshiper, the man who places her looks on a pedestal. When she senses that her beauty makes you nervous, compliant, or overly eager to please, she knows she holds the upper hand. She will test just how far you'll bend just because you find her attractive. Next is the boundary ghost. You see disrespect, but you don't address it. Maybe you convince yourself it's not a big deal, or that confronting her will make things worse. Instead of speaking up, you let it slide, teaching her you'll accept poor treatment in exchange for peace. Then there's the validation seeker. Your self-worth hinges on her approval, and you need her to pick you, praise you, and choose you above above all else. This dependency makes you controllable. She knows exactly what to withhold or provide to keep you hooked. If you see yourself in any of these profiles, don't shame yourself. Understand that you've likely been living by beliefs you picked up long before you met her. Beliefs about what love requires and what you must sacrifice to keep it. But beliefs can change, and the moment you decide that your self-worth is non-negotiable, you become manipulation-proof. Recognize your patterns, own them, and make the conscious choice to stop being anyone's target. 4. Spotting the red flags, early warning signs. Manipulation rarely starts with grand gestures, it begins with the smallest tests. Maybe she cancels plans at the last minute, expecting you to just go along, or she speaks poorly about all her exes, signaling that she's quick to cast blame and slow to take responsibility. She might flirt with other men in front of you just to see how you'll react. Are you confident and composed, or jealous and insecure? Another sign is when her bad mood suddenly becomes your fault, even if it had nothing to do with you. The biggest red flag, you find yourself making excuses for her behavior or minimizing things that make you uncomfortable. This is how she trains you, little by little, to tolerate what should never be tolerated. Start documenting every pattern that makes you uneasy. Write it down. When you see disrespect, don't brush it aside or explain it away. These are not isolated incidents, they're tests. If you ignore them, they will escalate. Remember, you don't have to confront every single thing, but you do need to recognize the pattern. If you let small slights go, they turn into big betrayals over time. The earlier you spot these signals, the easier it is to course correct and show her that you're not someone who will be quietly manipulated. The moment you acknowledge the warning signs, you start to shift the dynamic back in your favor. 5. How to respond, the outsmarting blueprint. Now let's talk about action. The way to outsmart manipulation isn't by playing her games, it's by refusing to play at all. First, identify your non-negotiables. Decide which behaviors are absolute deal breakers: disrespect, public humiliation, emotional blackmail, or broken promises. Write these down. Make them real, not just ideas floating in your mind. Next, enforce immediate consequences. If she disrespects you in public, you leave. If she tries to use tears to dodge accountability, you don't rush to comfort her. If she cancels last minute, you make other plans and don't reschedule. State your position clearly and calmly. I'm not comfortable with that. No justifications, no arguments. You don't need to explain yourself. Your standards are not up for negotiation. Practice saying your boundaries out loud. If you yell at me, I leave the room. If you embarrass me in public, I end the interaction. If you guilt trip me, I stop the conversation. This isn't about being cold or distant, it's about being immovable in your self-respect. The more consistent you are, the faster she'll realize her tactics have no effect. If she values you, she'll adapt. If she only valued control, she'll escalate or walk away. Either way, you win. You get the respect you deserve, or you make room for someone who truly respects you. 6. The emotional shift, reclaiming your power. The hardest part about setting boundaries is emotional, not tactical. You might feel guilty, anxious, or even afraid of losing her if you don't bend. This fear often comes from childhood. Maybe you learned that love must be earned through sacrifice or that keeping peace is the path to acceptance. But the truth is, no woman will respect a man who lets her walk all over him. Attraction dies the moment she realizes she can do anything without consequence. It's time to separate your emotions from her chaos. You are not her emotional manager. If she's having a meltdown about something unrelated to you, don't make it your emergency. Let her own her feelings. If she tries to make you responsible for her happiness, remind yourself and her, that's your job, not mine. When you reclaim your power, you also reclaim your sense of self. You match her effort, not exceed it. If she puts in 30%, you put in 30%. If she's disrespectful, you become less available. This balance isn't about revenge, it's about fairness. You stop sacrificing your peace, your hobbies, and your friendships for her drama. The result? She either steps up or she steps out. Either way, you win. 7. The test. What happens when you change? Get ready, because the moment you start enforcing boundaries, she will test you. At first, her manipulation tactics will escalate. She might throw bigger tantrums, use harsher guilt trips, or even threaten to leave. This is her way of checking if your change is real or just another phase. Don't flinch, don't explain, hold the line. You'll notice a shift. She'll either adapt, changing her behavior, respecting your boundaries and meeting your standards, or she'll double down, making life even harder. If she adapts, congratulations, you've upgraded your relationship to a level of mutual respect and equality. If she escalates, you're seeing her true colors. She's not capable of a healthy dynamic, just skilled at emotional manipulation. Don't fear losing someone who only valued you for your compliance. Losing that dynamic frees you to attract a woman who wants to be your partner, not your puppeteer. Remember, most men backslide at this stage because the drama is intense. Stay strong, remind yourself why you started, and don't negotiate your boundaries for anyone. 8. The future. You. Why this matters. Imagine the path if nothing changes. 5 years from now, you'll be exhausted, disconnected from your true self, and possibly resentful of all the sacrifices you made for a woman who never truly respected you. You'll have lost touch with friends, abandoned your passions, and learned to see basic decency as something you must earn. But if you change today, just by enforcing a single boundary, you'll immediately see whether your relationship is built on manipulation or respect. If she adapts, there's hope. If she fights you, she was never respecting you to begin with. Your self-worth, your happiness, and your future depend on what you tolerate today. Ask yourself, if your best friend were in your shoes, what advice would you give him? Now give that advice to yourself. Your future self is counting on you to stop accepting less, to start demanding respect, and to become the kind of person who would never allow themselves to be manipulated again. Make your choice. The next chapter of your life starts with the boundaries you draw today. Ready to become manipulation-proof? Subscribe and hit that bell. Here at Olivia Rose, we'll keep building the confidence and clarity that make manipulation impossible. Your self-worth is not negotiable, and your best life starts now. See you in the next video.